was when I ruled the world. It was the wicked and wild wind, blew down the doors to let me in, shattered windows and the sound of drums. People couldn't believe what I'd become. Revolutionaries wait for my head on a silver plate, just a puppet on a lonely string. Oh, who would ever want to be king? I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Mirror, mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, I know St. Peter won't call my name ever alone this word, but that was when I ruled the world.
Nice little light breeze too.
Start with the 30s. Hopefully we end up in the 60s.
Yeah.
Lots of changes to talk about. Jen Harcher's in our forecast. In the forecast. And is it true? We might scratch 80.
Oh yeah, in fact, I bumped up the forecast just a touch tomorrow. So yes, we've got some warm weather on tap for us. However, this morning, not the case. It fell below freezing in many backyards. We recover, and the sunshine definitely helps. Our temperature is right around 50 right now, and we're looking at a spectacular day ahead. 49 in Cleveland, it is 51. Akron, Canton, 50.
Hello, everyone. How are you? All right, so you guys don't have to come off mute. I just want to say hello real quick. We'll let you know that we had some issues with the link going out properly through the actual registration. So we're just sending that out and just giving people a chance to come in. But I do want to let you know this is going to be a great and powerful webinar on time management because I don't know about you, but that has been something I've dealt with pretty much my entire life up until recently, where I've been able to kind of get a really good grip on how to really work this thing in my favor. And so if you can, just write the number one thing that you want to take from this. And what is either the number one thing you want to take from this, or what is your number one issue concerning time management? And we'll get started right around about 2 more minutes or so. But thank you so much for your patience. And again, I promise it'll be worth it. All right. So thank y'all again for your patience here. So I want to get started again. So time management and the structure for success. And, I'm excited about, of course, the opportunity to always, teach this material because I think it is extremely powerful. Because if you don't have time management and the ability to, really go in and say, you know what, I actually know exactly what I'm doing each and every moment of the day, or I have at least a plan for my day, a plan for my life. I have a plan for how I'm dealing with these children, how I'm dealing with my work, how I'm dealing with my fitness. If I got a plan for some of that, then I can see my day a different way versus, when I don't have a plan, boy, it seems like everything in the world is getting away from me, and I don't like that feeling or loss of control. So when we talk about, and I did this last time, right? One of the major things that I did last time when, we were discussing, of course, anytime that I open any seminar, any webinar, when I, travel to do this stuff, I'm always interested in how you feel in that very moment. Again, as you know, if you've been here before, one of the things that we talk about often is how are you feeling, comma, really? How are you feeling, comma, really? Because there's a big difference between saying, how are you feeling? And we give, very, surface level answers of, oh, I'm good. But in identifying our feelings, that gives us a chance to actually provide solutions for them, right? So think about it this way, and I'll be very brief. And I want you to write in the chat based on these emojis how you're feeling right now concerning your time management. Think about it this way. If I merely said the car has a problem, well, that doesn't help us. But if I said the engine is ticking, well, now we know where to maybe diagnose, some of our issues and maybe how to resolve those issues, correct? So when we say stuff like I'm okay, or I'm angry, or and we're that surface level, it is very hard for ourselves, let alone other people, being able to help us and in order to navigate some of those things. What's wrong?
We can't see.
Oh.
It's if you look to the setting, you gotta click a button.
Hey, can you see me now?
Okay, good.
That's all good. Yeah. All right, cool. So sorry about that, y'all. Okay. So with that being said, based on these emojis, I'm curious, how do you feel based on these emojis? How do you feel? I would say that right now, I am feeling confident because I put the time and effort into what I do. And so I'm feeling very confident right now. Hopeful, content. Hopeful and content. All right. Content is also good too. Content is also good. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? How are you feeling right now? Well, that emoji there, excited. Okay. That emoji there is shocked. All right. Above us. All right, cool. So I'm going to get right into the material because I know that you guys like to earn money and you're probably at work or doing something work related. So we'll be quick and right where we need to be. So how did we get here? How we got here? Let's be very simple here. So I want to go through what is it that causes us to waste time? What is it that causes us to waste time? Number one, procrastination, right? And we know what procrastination is. It is literally putting off the things that we know we need to do because of a myriad of number of reasons, okay? So why the mind gets stuck on this? Why do we get stuck on procrastination? Procrastination often occurs due to fear of failure, perfectionism, or feeling overwhelmed by a task. It seems as if, you know what, man, I got to go to the grocery store. I got this project due, and I got to take my kid to practice. I'm just going to sit here and probably go to sleep. I'm not going to do anything. I'm stuck because there's this fear of this feeling of being overwhelmed by the task. Or maybe I want to start the company because it's a great idea, but my fear of failure, or that perfectionism, that the height of that perfectionism that I know that I naturally want to reach when I go after things like this is too much for me to even want to take on right now. Like I know that this is a great idea, but it's going to take so much of me to do it that I'd rather just kind of put it off. So the mind tends to focus on the negative aspects of the task or potential negative outcomes, causing avoidance behavior. All right. Avoidance behavior. We'll get into more of that. You're going to see that on the next slide. All right. So avoidance behavior, social media and internet browsing. The number one avoidance behavior right now, I would say in modern day times, this is the way that we all check out. Okay. The mind gets stuck on social media platforms because the internet is designed to capture and hold our attention with endless streams of content. If you think about it, they have been really going through over and over again since MySpace ways to get your attention and to keep it. MySpace was slow. It was a website, had a couple blinking lights with some bad music and, y'all, some poor web design, based on whoever was designing their MySpace page. And now TikTok is user-related video and content that comes about anytime you want to flick your thumb. I can almost promise you that biologically that our thumbs are the structure of our thumb and the ligaments will look different in the next 20, 30 years when babies are born. There will probably be more curvature and things naturally based on the biological changes that we have involved ourselves in this, okay? It's crazy, right? Anyways, there's already, first off, I want to say this, and I'll keep going. There's already, I imagine, and I've seen this, an influx of people going to the chiropractor because their neck has now went down more on this curvature. Why? Because, of course, they're looking at their phone. That's such a tangent. Let me stay on task. So social media, internet browsing holds our attention. The mind gets stuck in a cycle of seeking instant gratification and novelty, which in and of itself is a dopamine addiction because you need the reward, and the reward, you need more of it to end up getting that same feeling that you got from it the first time. So we want to, of course, try to maintain that balance. Big time waster. Another time waster, email overload. Why the mind gets stuck? Because constantly checking emails, I will also say this, and I didn't write this, makes us feel like we're working. It allows us, again, to avoid the true thing we need to be doing. So it creates this sense of urgency. I got to check my email. I got to check it. Something must be coming. And it's a fear of missing out on critical information, when also sometimes it's a way for us to actually avoid the very thing that we need to go be doing, right? The mind becomes preoccupied with staying on top of incoming messages, making it challenging and focusing on other tasks. I believe this is still also an avoidant behavior, all right? Multitasking, all right? Maybe you've heard of this. It is nearly impossible for us to multitask successfully. Now, we may be able to do two things at one time, two or three things that we may be able to end up doing it, but we don't do it well, okay? Most of us have been driving now 20, 30 years, okay? But it is still not a good idea to text and drive, right? We know the age-old, way of patting the belly and the patting the head and rubbing the belly, right? Now, I can do it because I'm a beast, right? I can do it because I'm a beast. But it is to say that it takes a level of switching your brain on and off from one space to another to be able to do that successfully. We are not able to do two things at one time successfully or efficiently. So what happens? We try to juggle two tasks. We get stuck, wasting a bunch of time. All right. So short little tangent here. And this is for all the ladies in the room, because I knew there would be ladies in the room. Here's what I'm going to say. When we talk about time management or lack thereof, we are talking about stress, right? How many of you believe that the lack of time management leads to you being stressed? How many of you believe that the lack of time management leads to stress? Just show me a hand, a fire emoji, give me something. Let me know how many of you feel that the lack of time management leads to stress. All right. Now, this, if you know anything about cortisol, okay, cortisol in and of itself, I think I might have said this before. Cortisol is the stress releasing hormone, all right, that allows us to become more focused. It allows us to be what we need to be in the moments of stress, okay? It is kind of this idea of survival to some degree, right? And I talked about this before, but what you want is you don't want too low cortisol and you don't want high cortisol, okay? High cortisol now you may be thinking, why in the heck does cortisol lead to this issue of weight gain and belly fat and all, like, right? Because it messes with your gastrointestinal production. It messes with this whole thing. And what it does is actually the chemical in and of itself slows down the ability for fat to be burned. So the frequent increase in cortisol, the high stress levels, leads to weight gain. You will probably imagine, I say this all the time in seminars, those of you who know people with type 2 diabetes, I can also probably guess that they either live high stress lives or maybe due to their poverty level are also stressed, which then leads to gastrointestinal issues. And you will see people who have high levels of stress constantly complain about stomach problems. No? All right. Yeah. Okay. So we do not want to maintain high levels of cortisol. So what we want to do is we want to figure out every single way to minimize and mitigate our cortisol levels. And right now we're talking about time management. Last time we talked about managing anxiety. Okay. So time management, get your pencils ready, take notes, screen capture. I don't care what you do. This is where the gold is, and you're getting the gold for free. All right. So gold don't come free often. Okay. So the importance of time management is that it is high productivity, increases your productivity and efficiency, better decision making. We know for a fact, man, when I'm prepared and I got my stuff in order, like, I feel amazing, right? When I got my stuff in order and I know what's coming, I feel amazing. Also, reduce stress and improve work-life balance. I should have said not work-life balance necessarily, because I don't know if we can always achieve balance when it comes to work-life, but work-life integration. We want a good flow of both, all right? So let me go back. Time management is the ability to plan and control how someone spends the hours in a day to effectively accomplish their goals. That is Oprah, Miss Aha Winfrey, all right? She said that herself, that this is the ability to control how someone spends the hours in a day. Spends, meaning that you do have a certain allotment of time at your disposal in order to effectively accomplish your goals. You have a certain amount of time at your disposal in order to do this, okay? So how you're spending it is what may be the problem. All right. So time tools. Let's get to it. Time tools. So I want you to write these down. These are all links, y'all. These are all links. These are all links to these products. Forest. For those of you who may have used Forest, Forest is amazing. I think Forest is one of the coolest little apps. So basically with Forest, it allows you to, throughout the day, your ability to stay on the app, right? It builds this fictitious tree, like legit. So as you're staying focused on the app, you're not switching from the app to social media, and you're not checking your text messages, that your ability to stay in the app and get into a flow of work, you'll see that this tree builds on the app. And so it is kind of like this visual representation of you actually growing something throughout your day. Again, these are links to those apps that you can click on, okay? Rise, man, Rise is so dope. So Rise is actually, it's actually on my computer now. And what it does is, based on where I go on the internet, and how I'm using my time through the apps on my computer, it gives me measurement. It's giving me time. It's giving me the last time I took a break. It's giving me all of this data that allows me to see how I'm using my time. So I really could look back. It's kind of like a screen time thing, but it's more based on like productivity for work. And it gives me data, it gives me feedback on actually how I'm performing in the background, right? It lets me know like you're doing your 1-2 every day, but man, you jump to ESPN, at this hour every day, and you're spending 30 minutes on there. And it kind of gives me that feedback. It is a paid service. And so, but you can try it for free. Be focused. Many of you have used this over the years. This is the Pomodoro app that was very, very popular in the App Store a while ago. The Pomodoro app. The Pomodoro mindset is spending, let's say, 20 minutes on work and then spending 10 minutes on break. Spending 25 minutes on work, spending 5 minutes on break. It is a constant flow of yin and yang. You're doing both, right? You're doing this timer. So this timer, it starts at 30 minutes per se, right? And the timer, you're not doing anything else. You are focused on work. When that 30 hits, you go. Get your tail up from your seat. I don't care if you walk around, your car outside. I don't care if you go get some juice, whatever you want to do, you take a break, you come back and engage in the work. Okay. That kind of keeps the steady balance. And then inflow is really cool. I actually looked this up. I had someone actually tell me about this. They said this is actually very useful for them. And what inflow is really cool. And inflow allows us, for those of you who may have and deal with ADHD, inflow is specifically targeted to those who deal with ADHD and helping you manage that throughout your day, time-wise, productivity-wise. Really cool, science-backed, great, and all that sort of jazz. Chunking. Does anyone use any chunking in their life? Does anyone chunk? Anybody know what chunking is? Time chunking. Does anyone know what chunking is? I would like to know. I'm curious. My guy Twan says he knows what chunking is. All right. So chunking is pretty cool. Definitely a tool that is useful. And when you see it, you're going to feel like you've done it before. Jennifer says she always fails. You don't fail. You just didn't do it right that one day. And you just got to get back up on the horse. And so chunking, it looks like this, y'all. All right. So think about your day. All right. Your day starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. And this is where you may be listing out your weekly priorities, right? You're spending this time to get yourself focused. Weekly priorities, I'm doing it Monday, okay? So then we do task number one. Task number one. And we're going to focus on task number one from 10 to 12. I don't care if you get an email that says you should do task number two right now. You're doing task number one. You're only doing task number one. And at 12 o'clock, you're going to take a lunch. You're going to take this lunch from 12 to 1. I don't care if you're done eating. You're taking the lunch from 12 to 1. You then have a team meeting from 1 to 2. I don't care if task number one, you got a better idea of something to add to task number one from 2 hours ago. You're on to task number 2, right? You're steadily saying to yourself, I honor what I put in place here. I honor what I put in place Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not going to just kind of be all over the place and look. And so now when I look back by Friday, I've gotten accomplished 13 tasks. I've gotten accomplished 13 different tasks amidst all the other meetings I had throughout the week. Now, if you look through here in the chunking, there's an aspect of deep work, okay, where you want to get deep into the work of whatever that project is. Maybe it's just something that you got to dive deeper into. Sometimes our task can be, I need to send out emails, but deep work could be, I need to sit down for 2 hours and work on writing that book. Like I have to sit down and write that book. There's no way around it. I'm doing this. I'm not looking at a kid. I'm not eating. I'm not listening. I am focused on the deep work. Okay. And I'm not stopping that until it's lunchtime. All right. If anyone has any questions, and then let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. All right. So we do have a question. No? All right. So let me go to 135. 135 is really cool. Now, this, after doing the research here, was actually one of my favorites. The 135 method. The 135 method. This may work for some of you all. So every single day, I'm doing a 135 rule, right? The 135 rule. I got one big thing that I'm going to do today. I got one big thing. I got 3 medium things. Then I got these 5 smalls. One big thing. Can somebody put in the chat right now, if you were doing the 135 rule, what would be your one big thing you have to get done today? What's your one big thing? What is your one big thing? Podcast, you got to record. Folding 4 baskets of laundry. Basketball tournament. Okay. So these are the things, these are almost kind of like your non-negotiable, right? This is your non-negotiable. This is the thing that you have to do. Like, no matter what, you can't get out of the day without doing this. Record content, right? And so the 3 medium things that we have to do they're kind of passive, right? They're something that we know we have to do, but like we have to do them, but they're not a day killer. Okay, they're not a day killer. And if we don't do them, our day still survives. If you don't make that basketball tournament, that could be a big deal. If you don't record that content, you may miss the deadline in order to get it out on time. That's a big deal. That's why it's a big thing. Okay. Then the 5 small things. These are the things that maybe keeps our life going. Okay. These keep our life going. Not urgent, but they keep our life going. Okay. 135. One big thing, 3 medium things, 5 small things. Okay. 3 medium things, 5 small things. You'll probably have a difficult time creating the medium things. There's always the things in the middle that kind of create a little bit more ambiguity. But the 5 small things, you probably won't have an issue. The one big thing you won't. And then everything else just funnels in the middle. So maybe you work on the one big thing, the 5 smalls, and then work your way into siphoning everything else into the middle, into the medium things. How's that sound? Sound good? All right. Look for my cursor. There we go. The Eisenhower matrix. We're going to spend some time here. So I hope you all have a notebook, something to write with, all that sort of thing. The Eisenhower matrix. Has anyone ever heard of the Eisenhower matrix? This is one of my favorite tools. When I conduct workshops on time management, this is one of those things that moves the needle for a lot of people, because this is something that's very powerful. So Dwight Eisenhower was a high-level military person. He was a general, and he was able to be very productive, which of course is also why he became president. And he was very, very productive and successful. And he used this matrix in order to allow himself to remain productive. Okay. So here's that matrix looks like. Well, first off, quote by Stephen Covey, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Schedule your priorities, okay? Your schedule is not as important if it's not prioritized correctly, okay? All right. So the Eisenhower matrix, boy, this is one of my favorite things right here. All right, so that top left quadrant, all right? Yeah, again, if you have questions, raise your hand. Let me know, and then we could chit chat about it. All right, so top left quadrant, important and urgent. It is often interesting when I go to organizations and I have this conversation that when I break them out into teams, then 90% of things in that they get down are in the important and urgent quadrant. So how do you think that makes the rest of their team feel if the leadership has decided that everything is in this top left quadrant? If you were working for somebody who felt that everything was important and urgent, emotionally, how does that feel to you? How does that feel? If your work is this way, how does that feel? Overwhelming. Yes. Overwhelming. Yes. Feels like you're probably not able to have any breathing room. It's like, man, if everything's important. Horrible, anxious. Yes. So this is emotionally draining. But if we had balance, then we would understand that there are things that are drop everything, drop and do it right now, right? There are things that we have to do. If you don't stop, drop, and roll when you're on fire, you're going to die, okay? That's important and urgent. You got to stop, drop, and roll, okay? You're on fire. You got to do what you got to do. If there's a deadline, that is a stop, drop, and roll. You got a family emergency, you better roll around. You better roll around till that fire is put out, right? You got to figure out how to end that family emergency because that is important to you. If you have an email that requires a response that keeps your business going or has something to do with you getting paid for your family, that's important, okay? So what we want to do is we want to avoid burnout by anticipating these things, though. It's the person that's stressed that life is coming at them sideways. And we've been there, where it's like somebody just smack you across the face with some news, and then 2 days later, here come one more that's smacking you this way. That's when we're becoming stressed because we can't anticipate these big, huge modules in our life. So it's very tough for us to continue kind of doing that when we need to be able to understand where that stress is coming from. All stress is not bad stress. There is a healthy level of stress that we need in order to perform. And that is a very baseline level of stress, but too little stress creates eustress, and that's where we're not really performative at all. We're really in a space where we're kind of lax, apathy to some degree, right? Then there's a high stress level we talked about earlier. All right, so right quadrant, all right? Carve out time, plan and prioritize these long-term goals, all right? Not urgent, but it is important. It's not urgent, but it is important. Me getting on the Peloton, which I'm going to do after this, is not urgent because if I miss it, it doesn't hurt anybody, but it is important to me, right? Me spending time with my wife, me spending time with my kids, it's not urgent, but it is important, okay? Making sure I'm reading, I'm studying, I am working on my craft, I'm whatever I'm doing to maintain me, that is important. So we have to put these things in spaces in our calendar because I'm curious, how many of your calendars look like work but have nothing personal? I also have another question. How many of you are shooting to become a 1, 2, 10%er income-wise, but have no goals to become a 1, 2, and 10%er emotionally, spiritually, or mentally? Spend a lot of time focused on becoming the best we can be financially, and then we wonder why we're burnt out emotionally because we've not put any work into carving out that time, all right? So, other side, not important and urgent. Not important, but urgent. Not important, but urgent. That's interesting. How is something not important, but urgent? That's interesting to me. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around. I'm always trying to wrap my mind around that. How is something not important but urgent? Because it's easy for me to go to the next quadrant and say, stop doing these. This ain't important or not urgent, right? That's easy to do. But I think that we get jacked up because we treat things that are not important as if they're urgent. And a lot of times these are distractions to what is important and urgent. So we mix up the quadrants, which ends up killing our time. We take non-critical meetings that end up lasting an hour longer than they should have been. We take an unscheduled phone call from somebody who needs our time and trying to pick our brain when we're not getting paid from it or it's not an opportunity coming from it. We end up going into busy work because maybe that's a way of distracting ourselves from the real work. We continue to answer all of our phone notifications, which in turn is just a way for us, again, to escape what's happening in real life, right? We have a terrible habit of the inability to say no. That is us treating the not important as if it's urgent. And that is a time vampire, okay? And then I don't really have to go over that last quadrant where we need to stop these distractions. And, you know, I mean, we know the distractions: online shopping, scrolling on Instagram, organized but not processing paper, all those things, okay? I want to give you guys something real quick. I give this to, you know, every class, a very interesting factoid here. Hey, listen, that phone, has anyone ever felt a phantom vibration in their pocket? You ever felt a phantom vibration in your pocket? I want to tell you how distracted your brain is and how it loves to be distracted. You ever felt like you thought your phone vibrated, but it didn't? Raise that, show of hands. Anybody vulnerable enough to tell me that they was tripping? Anybody? I know it's one of y'all for sure. It's always one. Yep, me. Yep, there we go. Phone felt like it was vibrating. All right, cool. Hey, listen, I got a question for you. You remember in New Jack City when Pookie said, it just be calling me? You've heard of people who've had drug addiction say, like, they suffer with this idea of, you know, the drug was calling them, right? So dopamine, the receptor in our brain that makes us feel good, it's a reward center. Dopamine in and of itself is a very powerful tool, right? In us being able to want to get things done. It drives our level of happiness. I mean, you ever drunk coffee and felt your spirits lifted? Oh my goodness, you feel euphoric almost for 10 minutes. But dopamine is dangerous because it's also the driver of addiction. So that phone that's scrolling, you laughing, oh my God, that's funny, babe, look at this. And you saving stuff, and then that's funny, or you learn something. Next scroll, you find out how to get rich in 10 different ways using AI. Then you scroll again. I shouldn't watch that for too long. And you scroll again, and oh, here's a scripture. And you keep doing this, right? And it becomes a thing that, like, it rewards you. It feels good. But then you get this phantom vibration. It's like, oh my goodness, like where is my phone? You know, it's your brain calling you. Your brain wants your phone like Pookie wanted the crack pipe. They're coming from the same home. It's the same place. Your brain is saying, yo, have you checked your pocket? You haven't checked your pocket, I can tell. I'm gonna help you check your pocket. Let's get some of that. Because maybe you're bored at work. Let's get some of that because the kids are getting on your nerves. Let's get some of that feeling so you can be more distracted and get into this space with me. Get here with me. And you find out nothing was coming from your phone. That is great. That to me is unbelievable, which is why Apple had to come out with things like screen time, with focus mode, because psychologists were coming out and calling them and putting them on blast for the behavior that they were trying to act as if didn't exist, when Apple was legitimately driving a change and modification in behavior through the addiction of app usage. So they had to help you, like, listen to this, y'all. They had to help you curtail the maladaptive behavior issues you had with your phone by giving you a tool in the phone. All right. So here's a relief of that. Here's a relief that you can use, and I've seen it. I don't use it because I put focus mode on my phone for the first like 6-7 hours of my day when I wake up. Here's what I'm going to tell you. And my wife still thinks I have an issue on my phone, which is fair. Grayscaling your phone, okay? So grayscaling your phone means you take the color out of the screen. So now everything you look at is gray. It's not popping anymore with color. You know, it looks boring. Your phone becomes a functional tool. So if you grayscale your phone, you can do it in accessibility in your settings for those of you who have iPhones, and you can turn everything to grayscale. Just try it one day, all right? So what I wanted you all to do was to actually work through this Eisenhower matrix, okay? I want you to take a screen capture of this, and I want you to do this. I challenge you to do this. Take a screen capture of it. Let me see if I don't know if my face is on the screen here. Take a screen capture of it. If you're not able to do that, let me know and I can send you the email of this. And I want you to fill this out. And I want you to see how balanced you are. So think about this as a car, okay? If this was a car and there were 4 wheels, do you need more in the urgent but important section to feel like you're a productive adult? No. You need balance. You need something in every pot. Because I'll be honest, there's a time and space for insignificant things. There's a time and space for insignificant activity. There's times when my wife and I will lay in the bed and the kids are asleep and we just haven't had any time. We've just been focused on work. And we just show each other the TikToks that we had saved. That's insignificant, doesn't matter to anyone. But it's our 5 to 10 minutes of time in which we can just let our brain just kind of float. And then we come back to whatever else we got to do and keep it moving. So my challenge is for you to do this, okay? Hey, has anybody ever seen this before? Stop, start, continue. Stop, start, continue. Another powerful tool. Now, 2 things. One, for those of you who have older children, I challenge you to give this to them and give them the opportunity to be honest with you. So stop, start, continue. Start. Hey, baby, what do you want me to start doing? What do you want me to stop doing? And what would you like for me to continue doing? What is working? Maybe you can do this in your work, in your relationship. Like I said, give it to your kids. For those of you who have employees or you manage other people, allow them to also do the same thing. This is an amazing feedback tool that you can use simply because it's honest. And it's also not, weighted in everything that's negative. Some things I want you to start may, just be for the good of us. Some things I want you to stop doing is maybe in the good of yourself. Maybe I want you to stop, always having to check, with me before you make a decision. Right? I want you to, I want you to stop, putting yourself second. Or please listen, continue working on the business the way that you are. You are doing a fantastic job, right? I think that's unbelievable. No, I'm not. It's not personal. I'm just saying that these are ways that we can communicate that. But also maybe you do this with a friend, somebody who can see you, someone who knows you in and out. This is where you want to give them that. And oftentimes employees, they see you every day, so they know your work behavior and how it impacts them. That's where this becomes powerful, all right? But give this to your boss. Tell them that it's a great idea that they should use and let them take the credit so that you can give them feedback. All right. I think it's a good idea. All right. And then lastly, I want to announce something. All right. I want to announce something. Renew. Renew is our newest baby as a part of the Pivot family. And Renew is amazing. Okay. First off, that was the end of the webinar. All right. It just was. All right. It just was. It was full of tools. And I really do hope that you took something from it. But the biggest homework assignment is for you to involve yourself in the time management tools that were given, that you're able to see that it does impact your life, that time management is not just a predictor of your productivity, but it is a predictor of your overall health. Okay. And that pathological diseases and issues stem from your lack of health-related activities when it comes to your time management. All right. Now, Renew. Renew is our baby. Renew is right now, for those of you who know what Pivot does, Pivot focuses on organizations, schools, corporations, nonprofits. This is what we do. And people have been, raving about what it is that, that we do. They love it, right? We have people who work for us, in different states, and we have just been blessed and blown away by what we've been able to do in such little time. But we kept hearing that, how are you doing this with the organizations? Like, do you help us coach other people? Like, do you do this one-on-one? like there's a group I actually work with on a month-to-month basis, and I come in and I teach his people mental health stuff. I do it for an hour and it works, pays me handsomely, works well. But then at the end of every time I do it, they say, yo, are you doing anything where you're working with people outside of organizations? And I always had to say no. Well, now Renew is a different space. It's a community-driven idea in which, hey, listen, every single month, you're going to get 4 webinars, right? 4 webinars on mental health that is going to include the same type of tools I gave you this time, the same I gave you last time. It's an hour long. You're going to be a part of a community. It's also going to include all the tips and tools, of course, that I read and research on. You're also going to be able to go back and view the recordings. You'll be able to be with like-minded people and grow from a mental and emotional space. Many of you have an amazing church that you get fed with spiritually. You belong to an amazing gym in your area. Great. But my question is, where are you actually giving to yourself when it comes to your mental health? So many people drive themselves. We've heard Eric Thomas over the years talk about, you got to grind, you got to grind, you got to grind. And you will grind until you've grinded yourself down to nothing. So where do you give back to yourself so that you can continue making the money that you want to make? So you can continue getting the ideas that you want. That comes from a space of mental health. We have seen prominent people who we thought had all the money and blessings in the world falter because up here wasn't tight. So we put this together, and you'll be seeing it over the next couple of weeks as we roll it out as an amazing tool that individuals can sign up for and attend and come in and get everything they need. We have a group coaching aspect to it. We'll be offering discounts on one-on-one counseling and coaching. I have members of the team who are going to help me. Listen, it's going to be extremely powerful because I want to help others help themselves, and not in a way that, hey, if you're going for trying to be the 1% financially, well, try to be the 1% mentally and emotionally, okay? Partner that spiritual life that you got with some emotional health and watch you turn into a beast. All right. So if you have any questions, this is your time to get free and to ask anything that you want to ask. So the floor is yours. But thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me and attending this webinar. You can come off of mute. Let me see if I got you guys stuck here. Let me stop my share. All righty, friends. Oh, can I give you another tool? I'm gonna give you another tip. Let me get another tip. This is a hard one. This is the hard one. This is the hardest one of the day. All right. And some of you who I've talked to recently notice about me. So it's gonna be something new for you. Who's a night owl? Who's a night owl? Who grind? Who gets it in at night? Like, your time at night is your time to shine. All right. Who's a night owl? Somebody write to me. Who's a night owl? Who? It's like, man, I am so happy that everybody sleep. Y'all stay in the bed. Don't nobody get up. All right, who's a night owl? Anybody? Are you all morning people? All right, so listen. Here's what I would say. All right. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. For a long time, for the last 20 years, had considered myself to be a night owl. It was my time where the most of my creativity came. I was the better writer at night. I got all my ideas. It's more comfort level at night. Okay. And when I had children and they started going to school, that kind of became a crux for me. So now I started dealing with this thing of, at night, cool. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm dead tired. So what I did was I had to invert my schedule. Instead of staying up late, I started getting up super early. So now I get up around 3:30 in the morning, and that allows me to steal 4 hours before they even wake up at all. Allows me to steal 4 hours before anybody wakes up. Now, that allows me, first off, time to myself, where if I want to read, I want to do whatever I want to do, I have at least some time to myself to do that. I can also then work. And now when they get up, I'm not so much filled with pressure or sleepiness that I have an attitude, I'm moody. So now I also go to bed at 10 o'clock, 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, around that time period. And I wake up around 3:30, latest 4, and I feel very good. Just a small hack. Just something to give y'all. All right. Any questions, any comments, please come off of mute if you choose to. But I would love to answer any question that you might have. No? We good? All right, y'all. Well, listen.
Great stuff,
We got a
Chris.
question. Yes, yes.
Great stuff.
Thank you. Now, you don't have a name next to all them numbers, so I have no clue who you are.
Monica, but I don't know how to put my name on here.
Hey, Monica. Thank you so
Hey.
much for attending.
Oh, wait a
Thank
minute,
you
I'm
so
renaming my
much.
name. I just figured it out at the end.
Did you have any questions though?
No, I'm familiar with the material a little bit, and this is amazing. I appreciate it. This is awesome. Good stuff. And I
Good
missed
stuff.
a little bit, so I got to go back to that procrastination part. That part. Oh, I do have a question. You were explaining something, and my phone rang during while we procrastinate, and I was like, he about to say something, and I clicked and I missed it.
Yeah, the idea about procrastination, like I was saying, in the presentation, it just simply comes down to oftentimes, that, especially a task-driven person or somebody who's a very high achiever, that what I'm getting involved in takes a lot of me. And I know that when I get involved in it, there's no play around. So there's a bit of stress that comes onto me because I know what it takes to do this.
Right.
So sometimes I just rather avoid it. Maybe it's just too much for me to do. But then also we have avoidant behavior. Sometimes as people, it is something where I'm not ready, or I misprioritize the things that are important to me. And so, it's something that we're constantly needing to become honest with ourselves about. And, if you were starting a new business or a new idea, how much are you able to commit to the idea if you're already running away from it?
Right. So I was asking, what are the tools? Is it writing it down? Is it putting it in bite size? I was trying to remember, like,
yeah, let me go back.
The procrastination breakers.
1 second. So let me see if I can go back to share my screen here. All right, so these are some tools here that I think you might have missed, and you can take a screen capture of these. These are also all links, and so you can open these up as well where you are. But these are all different time management and productivity apps that I find to be very, very useful. So these are some of those, and then let me know if you want me to go to another screen.
Yep, you can. I took a picture of that. Thank you.
All right. So then we talked about, time chunking, which are you familiar with chunking? Yeah,
I'm actually getting ready to do that now. So I would love to see what, I know I need to, because I'm resetting. Yep, that's it. Okay.
Okay, so we got that. Have you heard of the 1-3-5 method?
No, I haven't.
Right. So the 1-3-5 method is also pretty cool, where you are able to acknowledge, here's the one big thing I have to do. This is kind of like a non-negotiable of my day. And so I'm going to say at the beginning of the day, this is the thing I have to do.
Okay.
If I do that, then I still feel great about me. And then I was exclaiming that you work your way backwards from there. You start with the 5 small things that you got to do. Maybe they're just ruminating on your mind and you just kind of can't get away from it. Just little stuff like that's listed here. And then whatever's left, you put in the middle.
Okay.
You put the 3 that are important to you.
Okay, got it. Oh, that's good. So you do this every day?
Yeah, so that way, it's just structure.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's just a brain trick.
Yeah. And then we got the Eisenhower method matrix, which again is my favorite.
Yeah, that's kind of situational leadership kind of stuff.
Yes, exactly. And so
Mhm.
I had also provided this template here for those who wanted to
Let me
use
take
it.
a picture of that. Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, I'm all up in this right now.
And then, of course, this is more, of course, leadership driven as well. But like I said before, this is very relational based as well.
Mhm.
And so if you want to provide this to your children and they can give you that feedback,
Mhm.
and so, you'll probably get a lot of, based on what they want you to stop, you'll see, hey, they want me to start doing this, but
Mhm.
they're telling me to stop doing this. And I can almost guarantee you that they're related, that
Yeah,
whatever.
that makes sense for it to be related.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever they want you to start doing, man, I guarantee you there's something stopping you from doing those
doing
things.
it. Yeah, it makes sense. That's powerful. I love that. This is good stuff, Chris.
Julio?
Yes.